This is Kite Cutter TV with another presentation. We gotta talk about this. Okay, guys, Trump has been acquitted from the impeachment trial, so that's done. So Democrats and the left just basically wasted their time trying to impeach a president that wasn't even in office. That's number one. Number two, I've got a lot of people on here that are throwing shots at me. I have very thick skin, so if you're a illegal immigrant or a illegal immigrant advocate on here saying things like I'm an ex-slave or basically just throwing negative comments at me, I have very thick skin, doesn't affect me at all. Okay, so just want to let you guys know that. Moving on, I want to update this one story about 80 illegal immigrants stuck in the back of a tanker. This was going on for a couple of days. There was no new information. Now we have a little bit of information coming out, but we're still not sure exactly what happened to these 80 illegal immigrants that were stuck in this tanker. But as of now, we have one person that's in custody that's been arrested for this incident. Also, as most of you guys know, if you watched my report yesterday, Joe Biden has opened the floodgates for more illegal immigrants to come into the country by letting asylum seekers, about 25,000 of them actually, enter the United States to wait for their court cases in America, as opposed to how Trump set it up, the MPP remain in Mexico. So that's going to be a big problem. Expect more migrant caravans. Expect immigration news to be a huge topic because Biden's policies are punishing American citizens. We got that and a lot more to check out. Check this out.
Thank you, Nicole. An update now on a human smuggling investigation that got started with chilling phone calls to 911. Federal investigators say one person is in custody tonight related to the alleged smuggling of 80 people in a tanker truck along I-35. BCSO told us this may be the tanker involved. Bexar County got the 911 calls on Monday, and local and federal authorities have been searching for that truck ever since. However, it is not clear if investigators have found that actual truck or any of the people who might have been inside it. If you have any information on the incident, call BCSO.
Homeland Security announced a suspect is in custody after a 911 call led to a statewide search for a tractor trailer allegedly carrying undocumented immigrants. We brought you this story on Wednesday. Federal, state, and local officials were on high alert after one of the alleged passengers. The truck's cargo area called for emergency assistance while passing through the Bexar County. Homeland Security and Laredo Border Patrol confirmed one person was taken into custody over this incident. No further details have been provided at this time.
Customs and Border Protection has seen an increase in undocumented individuals trying to cross to the U.S. Some of these detentions would not be possible without the help of air and marine operations.
Just to verify, you guys are going to be squatting at 4401?
Whether it's day or night, these agents prepare to launch units to different parts of South Texas. They assist Border Patrol agents in locating individuals who are trying to enter the country illegally.
We start using our aviation expertise with our front seaters and our sensors to order to locate the groups of illegals underneath the aircraft. And at that point, then we coordinate through the radios to have the agents set up a cordon around those, and then they move in and then go ahead and apprehend those.
There is a minimum of 2 people required for each flight. The pilot and co-pilot, who focuses on using thermal energy cameras to help track movement and heat. This tool helps them identify individuals who might not be seen at first glance. Air and Marine Operations uses different types of units. The A-Stars, which can carry up to 3 people, and the Black Hawk, a bigger unit with a capacity of up to 12. Usually this unit is used for rescues.
Most of the rescues that we have are up in the ranch lands, and there were 911 calls that come in. That's one of our highest priorities other than agent safety, is where we're dispatched for.
Bridgen says they receive anywhere from 80 to 90 rescue calls during the summer, which is why there should always be a paramedic within their group.
If the weather is cooler or whatnot, we tend to see more movement of traffic. During the days that are really hot in the middle of the afternoon, the traffic flow tends to sim a little bit.
Areas with brushes are among the preferred lands to travel by groups. CBP says despite the pandemic, illegal crossing attempts have not slowed down. Reporting for Fox News South Texas, Camila Peña.
Targeting sex offenders in the country illegally has now been stopped after a recent executive order issued by President Joe Biden. The U.S. Marshal Service, along with ICE, are now working to reevaluate enforcement operations regarding these violent offenders. And here to talk a little bit more about the impact of the president's executive order is immigration attorney and KUSI contributor Esther Valdez Clayton. Esther, thank you so much for talking with us tonight.
Hello, Ginger.
So help me understand this. Under President Trump's order, people here illegally who were convicted of violent offenses in another country were deported, but now that's changed. Can you explain why?
Well, it was even more expansive than that, Ginger. For the last 4 years under the Trump administration, any undocumented immigrant who received an arrest for whatever reason, whether it resulted in a conviction, was immediately deemed to be deportable. That therefore resulted in high numbers of not only deportations, but also enforcement and blocking others into entering the United States, especially if they had a previous criminal arrest, not even if it was a conviction. Now, under the Biden administration, one of his first executive orders was to halt deportations for approximately 100 days. But he went a step further. Operation Talon was a joint effort between the U.S. Marshals and ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, where they were going to gather sex offenders who also were deportable and take them and remove them out of the United States. That operation, by all reports, has now been suspended. And what that means is three things. Joe Biden said, do not deport anybody unless it's an aggravated felony. Do not deport anybody unless that aggravated felony is less than 10 years old. And don't deport them at all if it is an assault, a fraud, or something that is not deemed to be an aggravated felony. For example, I can give you an example of what the numbers yielded in 2018. In 2018, we had approximately 98,000 deportable criminal aliens. Of those, under the new Biden regulations, only 3,300 would now be deemed to be deportable. The rest would stay here, even if it was a sex offense.
Wow. I mean, this is hard for me to wrap my mind around because the immigration debate is one thing, but we're now no longer even saying, come to the U.S. We're saying, if you commit crimes, you're welcome here.
Not only are you welcome, but we will not deport you until there's a review. And that is what the Biden administration has said. They've called us that they are now prioritizing certain illegal aliens to be able to be deportable only if they committed aggravated felonies that are deemed to be a high risk for the community. As an immigration attorney, I can tell you that an assault is a threat to a community, and battery as well. Fraud and other drug offenses are deemed to be a threat to all of us here in the San Diego region. But not only that, but it's good policy in that it plays well to his base, but it's bad politics for the immigrant communities who are most going to be affected. A lot of these policymakers, they do not live in the immigrant communities where the criminal aliens will now return and re-aggravate not just their victims, but potentially more. This is where the disconnect is in what's going on in Washington, D.C., and the rhetoric in the elections with what's really playing out with immigration. And the backdrop to this is, illogically as it is that Biden is yet to unveil his amnesty program on Monday to Capitol Hill legislators. So many Republicans have already voiced their concerns, not only with for those reasons, but also the latest news in that 25,000 asylum refugees will be allowed into the United States to possibly San Diego, Brownsville, and El Paso as soon as Monday. So we have several new waves of new immigration policies that are a huge extreme and departure from the Trump policies that we saw the last 4 years.
Sounds like we need to have you back on Monday to discuss what happens, because I'm also curious to find out if there could be a legal challenge to this. But unfortunately, we don't have the time for that tonight. So again, I'd like to have you back next week because it's a big issue for us. I mean, these folks are also possibly getting the stimulus check if they come over the border. Quite an incentive. So Esther, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Ginger.
Thousands of asylum seekers waiting in Mexico will be let into the U.S. for their immigration proceedings as soon as next week. This comes as Biden administration officials announced its new admission program today. ABC 10 News reporter Rena Nakano explains what's being done now south of the border to prepare for the transition.
For thousands of migrants seeking asylum, news from the Biden administration Friday gave them hope.
She was thanking God and just happy that this day has finally come for her.
Immigration attorney Maria Chavez represents a Nicaraguan woman who is claiming political asylum. Under the Trump administration's Migrant Protection Protocols, or MPP, she was ordered to stay in Mexico for the duration of her U.S. immigration court proceedings. MPP was originally put into place to address claims that migrants failed to appear at their hearings. But Friday, Biden administration officials announced that starting February 19th, those with active MPP cases will be processed at 3 port of entries and released into the United States.
They have to start somewhere, and they're starting with the MPP program, and for that we're grateful.
Dulce Garcia with the Border Angels says there are about 25,000 people who qualify for this new program. She says around 100 of them are staying at one of 14 Border Angels supported shelters in Tijuana.
There will be an NGO in Tijuana that will be screening folks to see whether they have an active case that are part of the MPP program.
But Garcia says not everyone qualifies for this program. Many who have stayed at temporary shelters for 2 years have died taking dangerous chances.
Some have been so desperate that they've tried to cross through the desert.
Customs and Border Patrol sent ABC 10 News a statement that reads in part, CBP has seen a steady increase in border encounters since April 2020, which, aggravated by COVID-19 restrictions and social distancing guidelines, have caused some facilities to reach maximum safe holding capacity. And that is why Garcia hopes in the next phase, more asylum seekers will be able to plead their case in the U.S.
There's so many people with such tragic stories, and we have contributed to their trauma by forcing them to stay in these shelters in Tijuana.
Rena Nakano, ABC 10 News.
In the meantime, Garcia says humanitarian groups on both sides are arranging transportation and preparing people to reunite with their families or sponsors in the U.S.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, God bless. Peace.